Hello, this is Clint Locklear. This is, I think, Series 5 of survival trapping and snaring is just mostly mental masturbation. And we're going to prove this point a little bit more so you don't get caught up in all the nonsense that you see online and the crazy stuff you see on TV and everything like that. So, yesterday I showed you what a real snare is. And today I'm going to show you what a counterfeit is. And I'm going to show it in two different styles, which are the most common. I spent about 2 hours online going back and forth between all these videos. When I saw what the material was, I just go to the next one. These are the two most common survival quote snares that you have. Now granted, keep in mind, if you can carry your floral wire, you can carry a real snare. And if you're going to carry your 550 cord, you can also carry a real snare. So don't say, well, what if I don't have it? Well, then that's your problem because you didn't plan. So we're gonna, does not show up very well right here. This is a trail going right up through here. It goes right around this blueberry bush and it goes under one of my wood buildings. This is the best spot to see the trail. Now, I know what this is. It's a feral cat. Now, the feral cat kills mice for me and has never bothered anything. Therefore, I don't care how long he stays here. He actually goes up and hangs out with my ducks sometime. So he's never been an issue, so I'm not gonna catch him. So we're not gonna leave this in here just to show a feral cat. But if you're really hungry or you're in a survival situation with a bunch of Chinese people maybe, and they really like the cats, pay attention to this. But I'm gonna show you the real snare again. Same one I showed yesterday. Remember, it needs to be rigid like a gun rest. It needs to be smooth. And the only thing that is supposed to move is the lock, which is what we're gonna call the trigger. So I unrolled it. 12 of these weigh a pound. It's not that much. This is my snare support. So knowing a house cat, I'm gonna have a loop about yay big because I gotta know what animal I'm going after. See how rigid everything is, but when it comes up, it's just gonna jump. Now this is why professional trappers use a system very similar to this, and we're gonna deconstruct this in some later ones just to show you, you don't have to go out and buy this, but you do need to have a good snare. So if you'll come over here, cameraman. And as we get going in this, you're gonna see this is extremely clear. Now the only thing I'm not doing is running my extension cable through this and tying it off to the building because my feral cat's not hurting anything. The trail comes right out through here. The best place to catch him is right up against one of my blueberry bushes. We're gonna go over a couple of new rules. Okay, you might have to come over here. Can you see it real good? Okay. This is the only thing that's gonna move when the animal comes through there. It's gonna fall down on him, no big deal. I want it where there's no whisker room. The other rule, which you're going to see on some of the snaring, which gets really crazy when you think about this, no professional snareman will ever allow anything to touch the cable because it's going to reduce the effectiveness of it. So I don't want any of this, even though it's grass and the cat weighs about 7-8 pounds. It's not a small one, it's a big furry one. I don't want anything touching that. Now, he doesn't have any whisker room over here. He's got whisker room right here because this is what happens in the real world when you go to snare animals, especially a cat or a weasel type animal. He's going to come up. He's probably going to notice this. He's going to be coming. He's going to see it. He's going to take his head and he's going to go right around it. That's why a lot of people think stuff jumps through their snares and they're using other methods. So we want to take away his whisker room. Well, that's not possible. Make sure nothing's ever touching the snare. So now the cat can't come this way. Not all animals, but it is a cat we're going after. So we also have to take apart, because when a cat sees something that's strange, bobcats included, most of the time they will lower to the ground. So we want to make it very inconvenient for him to go under this. And since it's a cat, and cats are very agile, didn't break off very well. and they can just as easily go over it. And this one is not as important, but if I was going to eat this cat and I really wanted to eat this cat, I would sure be doing it. I'm taking away his perceived ability to be able to go up over that very easily. So when the cat comes up, he's gonna try to get through there, and he's gonna get caught. That is what a real trapper or real snareman would do. We do this in the woods. Don't worry about it being a building. Don't confuse anything. Now, that's what that's the real deal right there. Now, this is our trail, which think back to all the videos you've seen on YouTube. It's not, if you look down at it, it's obvious, but this is a trail the cat's using. What is the advice that people give on YouTube for a snare? Find the trail, put the snare in it, and you're good to go. You may stick a couple of sticks or something on either side down here. What do you think is going to happen in real world when a cat comes up to that, or a raccoon or anything else? He's walking down this big old open trail. And just like if I was going to set a snare for you and it's just in your way, what are you going to do about it? You're just going to come up and you're going to walk around it. That's why I set the snare up next to the blueberry bush, is because this is very, very ineffective. Just because it's in the trail doesn't make a whole lot of difference if it's not in a way that's going to catch the animal. And this comes with experience. That's when I always see the stuff on YouTube. They just go put them in a trail. Guys, that's just not the way it is. So we're going to show some counterfeits now. Okay, come down here, Travis. If you've ever watched YouTube, this looks very familiar. You've seen this, right, Travis? Mm-hmm. Okay. Rule 1 of a real snare: it needs to support itself. It's like in the old books. They always show the little tree over here and the snare's coming down perfectly over the thing. And in real life, if this was a tree, it does this. It's limp. Nothing likes limp. It's down here doing nothing. So what do people do? Because they're trying to impose what a snare is, you got to support it somehow. So you got the 2 little forked sticks. Some people put 4, 3. It's pretty much irrelevant. This is in the trail. Let's say we had it all perfectly blocked off. And the animal comes up and he's going to get his hands in here and watch what actually happens with the thing. I'm just going to keep it going. May or may not catch him. I'm a 300-pound guy pushing on that. I'm not a 2-pound squirrel. So we're going to go the other way, see if it makes a difference. We're going to come down. We're going to get our head in this thing. And you see what's happening here? This is going to keep stretching out and stretching out and stretching out. Now, in real life, when an animal comes into something like this, he's going to think he's in honeysuckles or blackberry vines or something like that he's used to dealing with on a daily basis. When animals feel this pressure, they back out and they go around. Sometimes they will fight through. Most of the time they will not. So, but this is how you see this shown on YouTube. Not what I did, where an animal will actually try to go through it. You put your hand in here and he gets caught. Well, good grief, an animal's not going to get in your loop and jump straight up in the air to get off your little hooks right there. So that's why that's very inefficient. The trigger on this, which is a fisherman's knot, on the 550 cord, is never stable. You saw that. When I go back, follow me over here. When I go back to a real snare and something's going to get caught, that's the only thing that can move. What that was doing was going completely backwards. So what you're trying to do with a 550 cord is there again, that kind of drunk, retarded, newborn animal that's going to be trying to get caught in there. And I know that you may be thinking I'm trying to be overly comical with that, but that's really what that type of system is set up for, and it's not for set up animals. Now, this, I'm hoping you can see, this is the most famous snare. Can you see that at all?
Yeah.
Okay, that's the most famous snare on YouTube. It's floor wire from Walmart. Now, when I started getting into survival years and years ago, and what I was taught at survival school in the military was military tripwire. This is what they taught. You'd set it up next to somewhere, and then you'd be on a trail that the animal would go through, and he would get caught. So it's more the way they told us. We've all seen this, and this is what everybody says to carry. Okay, now Travis, I want you to start counting on my mark. Ready? Go.
1001.
Animal's gonna start struggling on this wire. I'm not pulling that hard, guys. Where are we at?
1007.
7. He's gonna be fighting. Well, he's almost completely off now because it's gonna unwrap. Did we get to 10?
We got to 11.
11. Okay. You held your squirrel for 11 seconds. You better be really fast to go get him. So we've got another one wired up the same way. Start the count, Travis.
1001.
He gets caught. He's going to start struggling. The way everything's going to do, he's just going to be moving back and forth trying to figure this out. How far did we get?
1008.
Okay. Go to the third one, same thing. The reason I want to show, I just don't want to do it once. I want you to go out and do it. If you believe in this, do exactly what I'm doing. I'm not jerking on this, what an animal would be doing. I'm just moving around. Okay, ready? Start counting. It's gonna be moving this bad boy around, trying to get away. This one's holding pretty good. How far did we get?
12 seconds.
12 seconds. Is that the longest one? It
Yep.
felt like it. Okay. 12 seconds. So out of 3 of the most popular, taught, instructed about snares, that's why survival snaring sucks. Because if you catch a squirrel, you better be there within 11 seconds. Now, I know the guys that love using the mechanisms and the leverage. This is what happens when you catch an animal in a snare. You're gonna catch him. We're gonna say that's his neck. That's a perfect neck catch. He's gonna be struggling out through here. Do you see what's happening right there? He's gonna be chewing. 550 cord, if he's got teeth, I think a squirrel can eat through vinyl siding and a 1/2-inch plywood. If you're using something like that, he's gonna tear it up. Coyotes do this, raccoons do this, beavers do this. There's nothing special about what I'm showing you. So we're gonna put him up on the jerk him off the ground pole. He gets caught down here, you're gonna jerk, he's gonna come up with you. What is right in front of his mouth? Right here. He's gonna be chewing on your cordage, your shoelace, whatever you made out of some type of root thing you spent 7 hours weaving together. He's gonna chew that right into, even if he's up in the air. Now, if you can sling him up hard enough that you kill him, maybe, and I'm not saying every one of them is going to chew through the 550 cord or something like that, but I guarantee a majority of them will, because even with this, we still have them chew through this sometimes. Not a squirrel, of course, but a raccoon can break them, beaver can break them, groundhogs can break them. Very rare does a bobcat break them because they die really quick, but a coyote breaks them. And that's with this type of equipment. And if you're going to try to use the survival stuff with the 550 cord and all the little green wire that just breaks everywhere, you can see if you were really trying to do this for real and not in a hobby situation or something like that. Because I'll be honest with you, I think most of this type stuff has come from guys that are actually extremely well at building fires, land navigation, signaling, different stuff like that, more bushcraft skills. And then they're in this market, they got a book coming out, and to be extra survivally, they got to come up with survival stuff. You go back and you look at all the old books, and we're going to look at some through this, and you'll see when you understand what a real one does and what the problems of a fake one, you'll see that this information has been regurgitated and regurgitated and regurgitated to the point where now people believe it, just like when our government just lies to us so much, eventually they start believing whatever they're telling. It's been that way. But the guys that are really good at all this stuff when it comes to survival, and then they go, well, I've got to be able to eat, so I've got to, catch my own food. They go do their research on stuff that's very ineffective, and then they teach it and show it, and they get somebody else excited, and this just goes on and on and on for decades, and that's where we're at now. So if you find yourself out in the woods with this, you're going to have a hard time actually catching and holding anything. If you're going to have this, or some of the other traps we're going to show you, it's not that difficult to do. Learning where to put them and stuff, you'll figure that out with time. Just follow the animal tracks. If there's a trail with tracks going, you can identify that. You know that a raccoon in your area is 25 pounds. I'd go about that big, have about that far off the ground, you're going to catch a raccoon. No big deal. So that's the reason I wanted to show you this in kind of a smart aleck way, just to prove the point how ridiculous this type stuff is if you're actually going to try to do anything outside of the hobby realm.